Thank you for joining us today. We are meeting with Emily, our youth therapy director, to learn more about how our youth therapy team partners with our rural schools. So maybe you could start by just sharing how we partner with the schools, because that's one of the key things that we do at CVIC.
Yeah, so at CVIC, youth therapy partners with schools all over our service area. We definitely work with schools within the Grand Forks public school system. However, we also work with schools in more rural areas. So we go out to Midway School, about 40 minutes or so away. Thompson, Larimore, we really try to reach as many students as we can. The way that collaboration works is typically really get a sense of what the needs are in the schools by meeting with them all before school starts. We also try to meet at the end of the school year to kind of see how things have been going. And then in between, it's really about communication and being open. We receive referrals from a lot of school staff, such as school counselors, principals, even teachers sometimes reach out. Then we can dedicate a time to go out to each school and really try to be there, not only for the students who are referred specifically, but also to have an open space and office hours so that other students can also come out and take the time, get to know us, and if there are other needs that pop up, we're there just in case.
Sometimes the needs we have in rural schools are a little bit different than what kids might face in an urban setting. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so when students and kiddos are living in more rural areas, they have less access to things that kids who live in more urban areas may have. That can include everything from access to things like grocery stores and healthy food, healthcare, as well as mental health agencies and therapists that are near where they live.
And you mentioned the collaboration, which I think is such one of the most powerful aspects of what we do. Can you talk a little bit about how you collaborate with the school staff to kind of ensure the well-being of the kiddos?
So we at CVIC want to be available in a multitude of ways, whatever works best. I email a lot with school staff in more rural areas. We also try to do things more through Zoom and things like that, especially where we live. Obviously, we know that our winters can be harsh. It's not always safe to drive. We try to access that a lot and have that in place right away for just in case when we know that weather will hit. So we try to be creative in that. Communication and collaboration so that we can stay in touch even when we are further away.
And I noticed, too, with therapists that are sort of on the road, they're away from their office settings. So how do they adapt some of their techniques when they don't have access to all the things in their office?
We really try to bring as much as we can to the offices that we go to and the spaces that we're in. So I myself have one of the tools we use for therapy is a sand tray. The one in my office is larger. When I go to schools, I have a smaller sand tray that I can bring with me. It has a lid on it that we can pop off. So I try to bring my little fidgets with me, a stuffed animal or two and some dolls and kind of lay it out ahead of time, trying to give that feel of a therapeutic space a little bit more. And like I said, that's not to complain at all because we are grateful and we'll take that any space that's available to us. However, we also need to keep in mind confidentiality too. So that's another thing that we think about when we're in different spaces, making sure that we can do it in a way that helps students to provide that healing space and that opportunity while also helping them prepare to go back to class, knowing that that's also a little different than sometimes when you come into the office.
Yeah, and they just shared probably a lot of heavy stuff or a lot of tough trauma. Why is the partnership important to rural youth in our community?
I think because it really does give kids an opportunity to access something that they wouldn't otherwise be able to in person, and that face-to-face interaction can still really be helpful. So this partnership allows for that, giving kids a chance to share their story and to have somebody there to listen who is trained and has some skills, hopefully, that they're able to help share with kids too, to help them cope and help them function the best that they can and have the best quality of life that they can in school and at home and within the communities. And so I do think too, it helps provide a support to school staff as well. So I think it is a good partnership.
So maybe talk to us a little bit, Emily, about some of the outcomes and things that you've either seen or hoping to see.
Something that I've seen that is really exciting is that there seems to be an increase in awareness of our services and comfortability with kids. At least meeting, something that I do is meet with kids even just one time, just to answer any questions they might have, and hopefully planting that seed so that later on, if kiddos are struggling or needing some support, they at least know what therapy is and hopefully have a positive outlook on it, or at least maybe that's something I could give a try. Long term too, we therapists at CVIC, as well as many people within the Grand Forks Public Schools, are trained to do groups with kiddos who've experienced trauma, and that's an area where in the rural schools I see an opportunity to do even more, reach more kiddos in a shorter period of time through groups. So I'm super excited that we can be there. Thank you and everyone for the support, and thank you to all the schools that work with us. We couldn't do this without all of our partners, and so thank you to them. And lastly, thank you to the kiddos who trust us and are willing to
talk to them.
hang out with us for a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I guess, thanks, Boya.